Hi, I'm Shaul Rosenblatt. Welcome to Tikun's Weekly Dava. Richard Dawkins, in his book The God Delusion, refers to God as the most unpleasant character in all of fiction. A capriciously malevolent bully, amongst other phrases. He's got a lot to say for himself. And this week's Torah portion, Ki-Tavo, is good fodder for them. A lot of good stuff in there. It talks about what will befall the Jewish people if they don't live up to the expectations of Torah. And it's nasty stuff. It's really nasty stuff. And they are experiences, it talks of experiences that unfortunately happen to the Jewish people multiple times throughout their history. There'll be famines and conquerors will come from afar and murder people and children and elderly people and people will be suffering, and it's terrible, terrible stuff. And as I say, something that I'm sure Richard Dawkins will gladly point to and say, there you go, I told you so. But I want to understand, from a non-atheist perspective, how do we understand this? What's got up to? Why all this pain? Why all this brutality? Why all this suffering? It's not a question I'm going to be able to fully answer in a kind of 3-minute podcast over here. But I do want to kind of try and make at least one point that I feel is of great significance. And that is, why do we complain when there are consequences to the decisions we make in our lives? When a life without consequences is really the stuff of our greatest nightmares. Imagine it for a minute. Is that something really we would crave? Imagine a life without consequences. Perfect. Everything's wonderful. God creates this beautiful Garden of Eden for us. You don't have to go to work because you got billions in the bank. You don't have to get up in the morning, sleep all day, sit and watch television. You can have affairs outside of your relationship. It won't affect the way you feel about your spouse or the way your spouse feels about you. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to bring up your kids. They're going to get brought up themselves. They're always perfect. They never cry at night. They don't have dirty nappies. They can't change themselves for the day that they're born. Imagine this perfect life where everything is wonderful, where everything is just right, and you just don't have to do anything to make it that way. Is that a life you would crave? Is that a life that any of us would crave? Where the decisions that we make no difference whatsoever to the way our life goes? I can drive at 1,000 miles an hour down the motorway and it won't affect me or anybody else. I can drink a barrel of wine and get in the car and drive to my heart's content and nobody will be bothered by it and the car's not going to crash and everything's going to be fine. It's not a life that we want. Our lives under such circumstances would be empty and utterly meaningless. And even jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge will not help you escape the pain. Consequences make life worth living. Let's make no bones about it. They make life meaningful. They make life into something. And the same is true of consequences. Consequences of not living up to Torah's values. The fact that there are consequences, it makes Torah meaningful. That's the concept over here. Imagine if you live a life of striving. You live a life of effort. You live a life of struggle, of really trying to do the right thing. And you get to heaven, and God puts you next to Adolf Hitler and says, here, you two hang out together. It'd make a mockery. Why did I do it? Why did I bother? And equally, imagine the other way around. Imagine if you wasted your life, lived a life of immorality, lived a life without values, and you get to heaven, and God puts you next to Moses. You'd feel like a fraud. You'd feel this is a lie. This is not real. This is not what I want. We want consequences. We embrace consequences. That's what means something to us. That's what makes life mean something to us. Far from God being a capriciously malevolent, can't pronounce that word, malevolent bully, in when he provides consequences to us, provides consequences to his children for not living up to the things that they want to live up to. It's the response of a being, of a loving being, who simply wants to ensure that his children live the meaningful lives that they desperately desire to live. Wish you a Shabbat Shalom. If you're interested in finding more about what we do at Tikun, please log on to our website, tikun.co.uk. Thank you.